Salamanca did. Salamanca money. Salamanca blood.
You have to calm down.
That hacienda, I pay for it. And you treat us like dogs.
Hector, this isn't personal.
It is. It is personal.
Hector was so emotionally agitated that he suddenly had a heart attack. He hurriedly grabbed the life-saving capsules from his pocket. Little did he know that his subordinate Nacho had switched out the medication. Thus, the always arrogant and overbearing Hector collapsed to the ground. Hector was so agitated because Don, in pursuit of immediate gains, had sidelined him, a senior member, and instead favored the newcomer Gus. Seeing this, Gus quickly ordered his men to call for an ambulance and instructed his superior one to leave the scene. Then he began performing CPR on Hector. Gus thought that if Hector died just like that, it would be too easy for him, as he had not yet avenged his good brother. Nacho picked up the scattered capsules and put them back in his pocket because Mike had reminded him to switch the capsules back. Otherwise his actions would be exposed. When the doctor arrived on the scene, he indeed asked Nacho for Hector's emergency capsules. Although Nacho had done everything seamlessly, he still couldn't escape Gus's scrutiny. Taking advantage of Gus being on the phone, Nacho noticed a gap in the sewer ahead and staggered forward, preparing to throw the capsules he had switched out into the sewer. However, just as Nacho was about to make his move, Gus called out to him. Seeing Gus walking towards him, Nacho hurriedly shoved the pill bottle back into his pocket. The bottle of pills was like a ticking time bomb in Nacho's pocket. Arriving at Gus's warehouse, Nacho couldn't find an opportunity to dispose of the pills, and it was obvious how nervous he was. Juan called Nacho and Arturo over. He knew Arturo but not Nacho. Fortunately, colleague Arturo vouched for Nacho, so Juan didn't suspect anything. He stated that although Hector's recovery time was uncertain, their business needed to continue as usual. After giving instructions, Juan let Nacho and Arturo leave. Nacho drove to a bridge, intending to destroy the evidence that could cost him his life. But Nacho never imagined that his every move was under Gus's surveillance. To launder the money he had stolen, Mike took the initiative to approach Gus for cooperation. Gus also appreciated Mike's talent. For safety, he arranged for Mike to work at the German Madrigal company, with Lydia being the contact person. This was also their first meeting, since Better Call Gus is a prequel to Breaking Bad. This is why Lydia appeared so familiar with Mike in Breaking Bad. For his safety, Mike asked Lydia for the detailed money laundering process. Lydia explained that around $10,000 would be transferred weekly to Mike's account in the form of a salary, and it would take about 20 weeks to complete. Additionally, insurance, income tax, and other extra fees were covered by Gus. Lydia assigned Mike the position of logistics consultant, but Mike said he wasn't good at that. He asked Lydia if he could change to being a security consultant, as he used to be a cop. Lydia respected Mike's choice. Mike asked if the rest of Gus's crew operated the same way, but Lydia said this was her first time doing this. She didn't know who Mike was, but the shrewd Lydia knew Gus must think highly of him. Seeing how much Gus valued him, Mike let go of his doubts and handed his real documents to Lydia. Looking at Lydia's excellent working environment, Mike said he was taking a big risk for drug dealer Gus.
If that's all you think he is, then you don't know Gustavo Fring.
At the same time, Jimmy, who had lost his job, started thinking of various ways to save money and increase income so he could continue sharing rent with Kim. Because Jimmy shot a recruitment ad, he got an order the next day. Under Jimmy's professional guidance, the sofa store owner made the most amazing ad ever. Jimmy suggested he strike while the iron was hot and shoot a few more ads. But no matter how much Jimmy pitched, the sofa store owner only had the budget for one ad. After a whole day of work, they earned a total of $545. When it came time to split the money, Jimmy gave the 3 college students $1 each.
This is money I've already spent on airtime for that commercial. $445. You know what that leaves me with?
$100.
$104.95 for writing, directing, producing, client outreach, sales, transpo, all of it.
I get it.
Obviously, the 3 of them together couldn't out-talk Jimmy alone. That night, Jimmy and Kim tallied up their expenses, which totaled over $3,000 for the month. Jimmy needed to cover half of the costs. He not only scraped together his share but also had a bit left over to order takeout and treat Kim to a meal.
Hey, hi.
$24.
Keep the change.
$1.
Yeah. We can make it 0.
The next day, Kim went to Mesa Verde Bank to handle business. Paige felt immensely satisfied when she heard that Chuck made a fool of himself in court. Chuck's arrogance in snatching the case had previously left Paige feeling disgusted. Moreover, Chuck had once scolded Paige for getting an address wrong. However, Kim seemed to feel a bit guilty and did not share in the joy. Seeing that she had a disagreement with Paige over the matter, Kim started working with a heavy heart. However, she quickly realized she shouldn't act this way. She apologized to Paige and then opened up about her feelings.
No, I'm sorry. There's no excuse for talking to you like that. As far as I'm concerned, all we did was tear down a sick man.
Meanwhile, after finishing community service, Jimmy was the first to jump out of the car because he had to rush to shoot an ad for a client. With no time to wash his face, Jimmy made do with wet wipes while the small crew got into position. Jimmy raced against time. They hurriedly stuffed all the equipment into the trunk of Jimmy's Suzuki, and then they scrambled to get in the car. However, after all their effort to get in, the beat-up Suzuki refused to start. After several attempts, they ultimately decided to take the bus. This time, they were shooting an ad for the guitar shop owner, but to their surprise, the guys backed out again because the price was too high. Jimmy began to use his specialty, but no matter how he persuaded, the owner refused to shoot the ad. Helpless, Jimmy had to cut the price in half, but even with such a big discount, the guitar shop owner was still not satisfied. Not wanting the trip to be wasted, Jimmy made a bold decision. He agreed to shoot the adverts for them for free, but if the adverts were good they would need to shoot the rest at the original price. With the proposal laid out, the owner agreed to Jimmy's plan. Although they didn't make money this time, the employees still needed to be paid. Jimmy had confidence in his ads and thought he'd make a big profit next time. The next day, Jimmy's team returned to the guitar shop. As usual, Jimmy's ad was highly effective, and the owner said it was the busiest day since they opened. According to their verbal agreement, Jimmy was ready to shoot 7 more ads at a discounted price of $7,000, but the two men changed their minds again, saying they had consulted with the TV station and found out the price for one airing was just over $400. Jimmy explained that was just the airing price and did not include the cost of shooting the ad. In Jimmy's opinion, his creativity belongs to the payment of knowledge, but the guitar shop owners clearly didn't see it that way. They said they could continue using the ad they already shot and could settle the airing fees directly with the TV station. Jimmy stated that the ad's copyright belonged to Saul Goodman's company and couldn't be aired without his permission. The owners got angry, saying Jimmy just hired a few college kids and they could find people to shoot the ad for much cheaper. They then told Jimmy and his team to leave. What they didn't know was that they had angered Slip and Jimmy. Jimmy glanced at a set of drumsticks nearby and immediately had an idea. He went to the cameraman and had him turn the camera on him, and then Jimmy got the drumsticks on the floor when no one was looking. He then asked the owner again if they wanted to shoot the ad. The owner, annoyed, said, "Can't you see I'm dealing with customers?" Jimmy apologized and wished them good business. Then Jimmy performed a very professional fake.
Are you okay?
It was a drumstick. It was laying loose in the aisle.
Somebody call an ambulance!
No, you don't need to. I don't need. Oh, yes, an ambulance. That's a good idea. You guys have liability insurance, right?
Meanwhile, Kim was at a restaurant meeting with Kevin from Mesa Verde Bank to report on her work. Coincidentally, Howard also arrived at the restaurant to meet with a client. Kim wanted to avoid Howard, but he eventually noticed her. Since Kim and Jimmy had embarrassed Chuck in court and disgraced the HHM firm, Howard came over to say hello, but actually wanted to be sarcastic with Kim.
Seems like just yesterday she was logging hours in doc review. Always a pleasure to see one of our proteges spread her wings and leave the nest. Well, I'll get out of your hair. Best of luck to all of you.
You too, Howard.
Hearing Howard's words, the strong-willed Kim couldn't swallow her pride. When Kim resigned from HHM, Howard agreed that she wouldn't need to repay the law school tuition that HHM had funded. Seeing Howard's attitude, Kim immediately wrote a check to repay the tuition to Howard.
Marie Austin. Good to meet you. Nice to meet you.
After Kim saw off her client, Howard quickly came up to question her. He accused Kim of being ungrateful and stabbing HHM in the back. Then, in front of Kim, Howard tore up the check, wanting to make her carry this burden indefinitely. But Kim didn't show any weakness. She said that she and Jimmy were only presenting the truth of the matter. As for you, Howard, to hide the truth from your clients, that's your own business. Howard was left speechless and could only watch Kim leave. When Kim returned to the office, she saw Jimmy lying on the floor playing the guitar. Jimmy didn't tell Kim the truth. He only said the guitar was something he earned from shooting an ad, and that he had accidentally slipped while filming, but that wasn't the main point. Jimmy asked Kim to take the money on the table, which covered his share of the rent for the next 6 weeks. Kim suggested that Jimmy didn't have to push himself so hard and that she could cover all the expenses for now, saying she could support both of them, but Jimmy refused Kim's offer, insisting he could manage on his own. Meanwhile, after being persuaded by Howard, Chuck proactively contacted a doctor to get a treatment plan. Chuck even tried to handle shopping for daily necessities on his own, deliberately diverting his attention and avoiding places with electrical devices. When Chuck returned home, he found Howard waiting at the door. This time, Howard came to talk about Chuck's professional liability insurance. Just a few days earlier, Jimmy, to save on expenses, decided to temporarily cancel his professional liability insurance for a year. After all, he wouldn't be practicing law that year, so there was no need to waste money on it. However, the staff gave various reasons for not refunding the premium. Worse, the staff mentioned that because Jimmy's license was suspended for a year, the premium would increase significantly next year. Hearing that the premium would increase by 150%, Jimmy immediately launched into his superior acting performance. He pretended to be deeply saddened and painful, bringing up the feud between him and his brother Chuck. He said Chuck had mental health issues and had broken down in court, which could be verified in court records, because Chuck's professional liability insurance was also with this company. Jimmy ended by saying he didn't mean to bring it up and hoped they wouldn't increase Chuck's premium. After the performance, Jimmy immediately stopped crying and, as he left, reminded them not to trouble HHM law firm. Jimmy did this out of spite for Chuck. His premiums went up. He can't make it easy on Chuck. Soon, Howard received a notice from the insurance company about the increased premium for Chuck, but Jimmy didn't realize that his small act would cause a butterfly effect.